Hey y'all, it's Care. I hope everyone's week is off to a great start. I'm at a hotel right now, obviously. I'm at a conference for work and I'm excited about it, and I'm also really excited to talk about tonight's video because it's gonna be my December/January wrap up. I think we have 16 books to rank tonight. I'm gonna rank them from my least favorite from the past 2 months to my favorite book from the past 2 months. I say this every time. But before getting into the books, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Ana Luisa Jewelry. I'm working with Ana Luisa yet again this month. I love them so much. They are an ethical and a sustainable jewelry company, and they're completely carbon neutral, meaning that they offset 100% of their carbon emissions from both their jewelry and from their packaging. They craft unique, high quality jewelry pieces at very affordable prices, and they're currently running their Valentine's sale, which is buy one, get one 40% off from their website. So you can go ahead, check out the description of this video to click that link, go to their site, shop the sale. This would be the perfect time to show yourself some love. So if you're looking to get a friend or a loved one a new piece of jewelry this season, go ahead and get one for yourself too. Like, take advantage of this buy one, get one 40% off. It's a great deal. I mean, you're definitely gonna find something that you love. So there are 3 pieces I wanna show you tonight. One is this aura bracelet. It did come with additional links. So, you know, if it's a little too small with, you know, the setting that they have it on in their packaging, you can take it to your local jeweler or person who repairs watches and get them to add the extra links on. I feel like this is one of the more masculine pieces that I have, which I'm really into right now. It reminds me of a wristwatch. It is so cute. I also have the Ilios earrings. These are huggy hoops, so they fit right on my lobe. They are adorable. I'm obsessed with these. They're so cute, so dainty, so pretty. And I really like how you can adjust if you want this pretty stud closer to the actual piercing like that and have the hoop showing underneath, or if you want to pull it down and have the stud lower. I kind of like it up here. I think that's how I'm gonna keep it. And also with these being huggy, I know that they are kind of for the lobes, but I'm excited to see how they do on the cartilage piercings too, especially since I have 2 up here. I might double up at some point and put them up here. I'm definitely gonna stack them too with them being smaller. It'd be really cute to stack. The possibilities are endless right now. Then lastly, we have the Lucas Malachite necklace. I love the chain on this. I love how much it's standing out on camera right now. And also this little green circle in the middle. I love the green detail, but also you could flip it if you wanted the gold to be on the outside. I just love the green. Green's my favorite color, besides yellow. All of these pieces are so pretty. They're simple enough to where you can dress them down if you want to wear like a more casual look. I love wearing the Ana Luisa jewelry with sweaters, especially chunky sweaters. Something about the gold just really stands out against turtlenecks. But like I've mentioned before too, they do go with that more business casual look if you're wanting to accessorize with a blazer or a nicer blouse. What I'm trying to say is the simplicity of the pieces make them super versatile, but at the same time, they're always striking. They're always eye-catching, and I just wear this jewelry every day. So like I said, don't forget to check out the description. Click on that link to go to the Ana Luisa website to shop their buy one, get one 40% off sale. You don't want to miss this. Thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring this video. Now, onto the books. Okay, between December and January, I did read 19 books technically, but there are gonna be 3 that I'm not going to include in the ranking. I'll tell you my rating, but we're not gonna do like full reviews, and you'll see why. I'll just go ahead and start. So 2 of them are Audible originals. I have Audible again, I caved. One was called The Getaway by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I have read from this author duo before. They write thrillers, and I actually have to say this is my favorite piece of writing. It is like a novella, I guess. It's my favorite book from them, but it is only available on Audible. That's why we're not ranking it. We have an isolated setting, kind of a kidnapping situation. Just super pleasantly surprised. I gave that one 4 out of 5 stars. And then also we have Hold Me Closer, Tony Danzig, I think. This was a cute sapphic holiday romance. I gave it 3 stars. I didn't have any expectations for this either. So 3 stars for Hold Me Closer, Tony Danzig. Also, there's like a huge karaoke element in that book, and I just thought it was so cute. Anyway, also the other one that I'm not gonna be ranking is Heartstopper Volume 4, just because I hold this graphic novel series really close to my heart. I gave it 5 stars. I feel like it wouldn't be fair to rank it. I don't even know how to rank it amongst the others since it is a graphic novel, but I do wanna say, in case you didn't know, this is like a male-male romance. It is so cute between Nick and Charlie. Even though this is a really like cute fluffy romance, this one took a specific darker turn, and I think that it addressed some really important issues. And I don't say this for it to be a spoiler, but I feel like the content warning for this is pretty important. We do go into talking about disordered eating and self-harm here, so if you are particularly sensitive to that, maybe don't look into this series because that's something that we are exploring with one of the characters as they are seeking help. So I just thought that it was a really beautiful installment to this series, and I'm just gonna read every single one that Oseman ever writes. Okay, now we're gonna get into the rankings, starting with number 16. I have to say, I'm going to keep these reviews pretty short because we got a ton of books to get through. So number 16 is The Haunting of Rookwood House by Darcy Coates, and I have been wanting to check out Darcy for a while. I am really interested in reading more horror books by women authors this year. I mean, I feel like I do a lot of that anyway, but I'm gonna do even more in 2022. I was really severely disappointed by this book though. This felt like a classic haunted house story with a ton of potential, but everything about it just fell completely flat for me, unfortunately. It's about this man who has a home within his family that they're not using, and he has to go and like clean it out and try to fix it up. That's a very common haunted house trope, so I don't mind that at all, but just everything about this plot seemed kind of unoriginal to me. Nothing felt new or fresh. When this is the case in a book, in my opinion, the writing just has to be stellar enough to carry that lackluster plot, and I just feel like that did not happen here. And also the ending just infuriated me. It was boring. Like there were some reveals where they were supposed to be revealing, imagine that, and they just weren't. Like I just did not have a good time. But I'm gonna try Darcy again. I gave that book 2 stars and I can't remember if I said that yet. Okay, so number 15 is also another 2-star read, and it was called If I Disappear. Y'all tried to warn me about this one. I just straight up did not listen because we have a podcast element in this story. We also have, you know, a mystery, a missing woman. I thought those 2 things combined were going to be my perfect combination. It should have been. It wasn't. I did not have a good time. I didn't like this one. This is about a woman who has a favorite true crime podcast, and she's kind of obsessed with the host of the pod, but then the host goes missing and the listener, Sarah, thinks that she has been leaving clues for her, that the host was like leaving clues about where she is and what happened to her. And so she kind of goes out on this quest to try to find the host of the podcast, and it is just as weird as it sounds. I don't know how to explain it, but everything just seems slightly too far-fetched. Like I wish the author had just actually gone for it instead of making everything just like believable adjacent. It was just strange. There was no part that I think back and liked. I'm so sorry. Moving on to number 14, we have Follow Me to Ground, which is another just absolutely strange one. This one was kind of magical realism horror, which every time something has that magical realism label, in my mind, I love it. And then every time I start reading it, I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't for me. I rated this one 2.5 out of 5 stars, so obviously it didn't work great for me, but this is one where I can appreciate the weirdness, and I do think that there's an audience out there for this book, and they've probably found it. This book is about our main character, Ada, and her father, and they are healers in this kind of small remote town, and they cure people in the town, but not medically. It's magical realism, so they're doing it supernaturally. I did not understand that at all. I didn't even grasp what was happening at all. But then Ada thinks she falls in love with one of the people that she cures, like one of the cures, that's what they call their patients. And from there, it just shakes up the entire plot because people are not happy about this new relationship. But my main problem is there just was not enough of the setup for the magic that was happening for me to understand. And I know that that probably is a me problem, but it was a problem nonetheless. It might have been the author intentionally keeping readers in the dark for more of a shock value later. That can work for me sometimes, but it doesn't with magical realism, because honestly, I just need all the help I can get anyway. I rated number 13 on this list 3 stars. So from here on out in the video, I liked all of these books and I in general would recommend these. So number 13 is called Nothing But Blackened Teeth. 2 words. Ghost Bride. Now I am in the complete minority here, okay? I liked this book and I think that I appreciated it for what it was. It's about this young-ish friend group. They might be mid-20s, early mid-20s, something like that. And in this group, 2 of the people are a couple and they're engaged, they're getting married, and they go to check out this venue where they want to have their wedding, or I don't know, I don't want to give too much away, but they get there and it's haunted. And I feel like I was promised a lot of Japanese folklore, and that's not what I ended up getting. But in ignoring that folklore that's been teased in the beginning and really throughout the story, and instead focusing on these really shallow and just kind of dumb character dynamics, like these people are petty, annoying, can't stand them, unlikable, but not in a good, interesting way, just in a boring way. I think in focusing in on that, instead of what's actually happening and what's actually important, I actually want to say that that's just hitting the theme out of the park and that she nailed exactly what she was going for. If you just go into reading this one with your expectations set correctly and know that it's going to be intentionally kitschy, in my opinion it is, and it's going to read kind of like a B or C or a D-list movie, then I think you might have a good time. The next one on the list is another 3-star read. It was called The Last Final Girl by Stephen Graham Jones. This one was super confusing, but I was willing to put up with it because the format was so cool. It was written in the form of a screenplay, which I thought was genius because, you know, final girl trope like in horror movies made everything in this story feel like a movie. It basically, long story short, or it's a novella, short story short, it's a bunch of final girls at a high school who apparently there's only going to be one final girl left at the end of the book. The last final girl. This was really dramatic, over the top, slashery, but like I said, it's kind of hard to recommend to a broad audience just because I was confused and I was super invested, and I like screenplays. I like reading screenplays, so since I was a little bit confused reading it, and I feel like this is something that I am the exact target audience for, keep that in mind if you want to pick that one up. Number 11 is The Grip of It. I gave it 3 stars. It is another haunted house book and I really liked it. I think it's really underrated. I haven't seen too many reviews for this one. This one had my favorite haunted house trope, which is when the haunting kind of parallels the turmoil going on in a young couple's relationship. Love that. I mean, that's basically what the book is. It's a couple and their house is haunted, and it makes their relationship strained, and it's interesting to see how they deal with things. And if you're looking for that like paranormal or supernatural haunted house feel, this one has it. Getting into the top 10, number 10 is Arsenic and Adobo. I gave it 3.5 stars. I was going back and forth between 3.5 and 4, but since I've had some time to sit on the reading experience since I finished it back in December, I'm going with a 3.5. This is a cozy mystery, and it's the first cozy mystery I've read in probably over a year, maybe 2 years, so I'm not super familiar with the genre. The book is centered around a restaurant that is run by a Filipino family, and the granddaughter of this family, she has recently returned to help with the family business, and at the very beginning of the book, one of her ex-boyfriends comes into the restaurant and then he dies, and everyone thinks that she poisoned him, but she didn't, or she says she didn't. So from there, she has to launch her own personal investigation because she feels like she has been completely set up and she doesn't know who to trust. I think that for a cozy mystery that's not as brutal or graphic or gruesome or anything like that, I think this is about as good as it could get for me. Just take my review with a grain of salt. If you like books like this, then you definitely need to try Arsenic and Adobo. Number 9, we have As Good as Dead, which is the conclusion in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. When I first finished this, I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads, but that was more of a comprehensive rating for the entire series, just because I hadn't given any of them a 5-star yet. I felt like it would be a disservice not to, just because as a whole the experience was absolutely incredible for me, but I do think that this one, since I've had time to sit on it, is probably a 4-star read. But I did like it more than what I thought I was going to. I heard really horrible reviews when this first came out. I thought it was a good conclusion to the series. I really liked it. I can't tell you much about this one without spoiling, you know, stuff that goes on in books 1 and 2, but it is about Pip. Pip started a podcast back when she was a senior in high school as part of her, I think it was like a senior capstone project, and she ended up investigating a cold case that had really torn her town apart some years ago. So through that investigation, you know, in book 1, things continue in book 2, and then in book 3, we have a conclusion to everything. And what I really liked about this series is that, yes, we do have different plots going on and different mysteries in each book, but there was a thread, like a through line going through all 3 that kept everything connected, and I really didn't see it coming. Like, I did not know that things were gonna tie all back in together. I was really impressed by it. Number 8 is one that I'm a little bit disappointed isn't higher on this list. I still gave it 4 stars, but it's Near the Bone by Christina Henry. This was a 5-star prediction for me. I feel like all of my friends are obsessed with it right now, like easy 5 stars. So maybe if my expectations were lower, would have had a different reading experience, but I can confirm, like, this is a good book. It was scary. Also, it takes place in a snowy, isolated setting, which is my favorite setting of all time. It's about this woman who lives in a cabin with her husband. Not only is she trapped up there with him on the inside of the cabin, but she's starting to hear howls and screams out from the woods at night, which is equally, if not more terrifying than her husband that she is afraid of. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I love it when supernatural horror is paired against real life everyday horror, like abuse or, you know, domestic disputes, things like that. I love the marriage of those two topics and ideas, and I love the discussion that can be created around the juxtaposition of those two horrors. I think it's so cool. Y'all aren't even gonna believe me on this next one. Okay. Number 7 is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I don't even know how to talk about it. I've been trying to branch out more, like genre-wise recently, and I do want to read more fantasy this year. I mean, I've read fantasy before, it hasn't gone great in the past. I don't have a good track record with it, but I did get this recommendation from my friend, and he said that it was fantasy, but that it was going to read more like a thriller. I don't know about that, but I loved it. I really liked this book. I guess it's about a family or a clan, and I literally don't even know how to explain it. So in this fantasy world, the main part of this book is about this family who is a part of a clan, and they're feuding with another clan, and it's just this whole thing. And as you read, you're getting to learn more and more about each member of the family and why they do what they do, what role they serve in the clan. The character development was incredible. So while I did love the characters, I was getting a little bit lost with some of the political intrigue. I was just trying to hold on, like get by, not skimming, but also not fully comprehending. So all of this to say, if you like thrillers and you're looking to start fantasy, maybe try this one. But also, I feel like my perspective is going to be skewed on this, because if I had a question, like he was helping me. Like if I was confused, I wasn't confused for that long. Like I would just ask. So I don't know. This is a strange review. I feel like I just need to like stop. Oh, last thing I'm going to say about it though, it is a trilogy. There's Jade War and then Jade Legacy, which came out just last year in 2021. So I am gonna continue with the series, and I'm excited about it. I know I don't usually do series, but I'm gonna keep going. Okay, number 6, 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. I love Catherine Ryan Howard. It is a thriller. It's like a murder mystery situation. It's one of those cases where at the beginning of the book, we know that someone has died, but we don't know which character it is, and we also don't know what happened. So then we have to backtrack and figure out what happened here. It's about this couple who meets and strikes up kind of a relationship right before lockdown, but they don't have any labels on anything. They are just having fun. And once lockdown happens, they decide to isolate together, and they might be hiding things from each other. I mean, obviously 56 days later, one of them is dead. So something goes wrong. Anyway, my point is that I thought it was great. We do have 2 more Catherine Ryan Howard books on this list, though. I went on a bit of a binge. Getting into the top 5, number 5, we have Rewind by Catherine Ryan Howard. Loved this. This was like 4.5 stars for me, almost 5 stars. So at the beginning of the book, there's a camera in a hotel room, and the person staying in the hotel doesn't know there's a camera. And then someone emerges from the shadows and kills the person in the hotel, and then goes over and takes the camera. So they knew it was there. So right up front, you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Who's at the hotel? Who just murdered this person? And also, why is there a camera, and who is watching? Who is gonna see this? It's a great setup. Rewind uses that device that I love, where we start at the end and we know how the book ends, and now the whole twist is, how did this book start? So that is much like 56 Days. We've got the same kind of plot progression and trick going on there. I just fall for it every time. Anyway, Rewind felt unique. It was really interesting. It was super fast paced. It was just a wonderful thriller. I really highly recommend it. Number 4 on this list is A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay. I've tried Paul Tremblay before. This one is the one that sold me on him. I'm gonna go back and read more of his backlist now. I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really liked the plot, but the star of the book is the way the story was told. I am such a sucker for just making things unnecessarily complicated. The book is about a family who has, you know, husband, wife, 2 daughters. And when the daughters were little, one of them goes through somewhat of a possession, or does she? Was it real or was it not real? So this family was actually the focus of a short documentary series that was broadcast, kind of like a reality show. So people in their world got to see this little girl's possession or whatever it was, and ultimately the exorcism. It was wild. So in this book, 1, we're following that timeline in the past of, you know, the people coming in to make the documentary and the sister going through all of this, but we're also following the other sister who was unaffected in the present. But then we're also following this blog that is being written about that campy documentary in the past, and we're exploring the main topic of, was this real or was this fake? Like I said, kind of unnecessarily complicated, but in a way that made it so much fun to read. Next is my favorite Catherine Ryan Howard book that I read this month. It is The Nothing Man. I gave it 4.5 stars. I do not see enough people reading this one. I need you to get on it. This is my favorite thriller that I've read in a while. The Nothing Man has a serial killer POV, and I've not seen enough of that in like any of my recent reads. So long ago, during one of the Nothing Man's crimes, he murdered a family but did not manage to kill the youngest daughter in the family. And he's always been worried that maybe she saw something and could identify him to this day. So now, in the present, she has written this tell-all, kind of like a true crime book, all about the Nothing Man and all of his crimes, and also kind of hints that she has new evidence that can be introduced in the case of her family's murder and that she's coming for him. It's a lot. He starts reading the book. Like, it is about the Nothing Man reading his true crime book. So if you like true crime already and you're looking for, you know, fiction that reads like true crime, this one's for you. But at the same time, if you really like reading thrillers and maybe you like true crime podcasts or TV shows, or it's something that has been interesting to you in the past, but you haven't really dipped your toe into reading true crime yet, try The Nothing Man and see if you like that format. Because like I said, even though these crimes are fictionalized, you know, you wouldn't know it just to be reading the book. Like, reading some sections of the book reads just like true crime. It was so amazing. It doesn't have that full 5-star rating because there was something that happened at the end that was a little cringe. I know that sounds so harsh, but it was so cringe, it kind of like knocked half of a star back. But other than that, it was so good. Obsessed with The Nothing Man. I want you all to go read it. Okay, the last two on this list are both nonfiction. They're both 5 stars. I don't know who I've become. This is strange for me. Number 2 from the past 2 months is The Anthropocene, reviewed by John Green. I just finished this a few days ago. I love it. It's like my new favorite comfort book. So in defining the Anthropocene, I know I'm gonna like botch this, but he said it so many times in the book, in my mind I can regurgitate it. It's something about like the current geological state, maybe, perhaps, just everything in the world at any given time. Like the Anthropocene is like everything. I don't know what it is. I mean, I do, but I don't know how to explain it. John Green is just picking random things, or seemingly random things, and reviewing them on a 5-star scale. He'll review the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, but at the same time, these are humorous reviews mostly, but then he can just turn a phrase so easily and turn it into something beautiful and anecdotal, and just be able to so concisely explain something that happened to him in his life and how it's so relevant still today and how that can translate to others. And the way that he writes is just so impressive to me. So yeah, this is a collection of essays and of reviews, but it was so autobiographical in a way, but also historical, also informative of the current geological state. If you struggle with existential dread, I don't know if this book would help your anxiety or make it worse. It helped me for sure, just in processing and accepting a few things. That sounded really specific and also vague. I didn't mean for it to. I just mean in general. It helped me change my perspective on the way I think about life. That's also dramatic. Thought it was beautiful. There's nothing I would change about it. And lastly, number 1, it's American Kingpin by Nick Bilton. I can't stay on it for too long or I just won't shut up. But this is the story of Ross Ulbright, who was the creator of the Silk Road, which was a website within the dark web years ago, like nearly a decade ago. And on this site you could buy or sell whatever you wanted, like completely illegally. Everything was run through cryptocurrency and Tor, which, well, okay, never mind, I can't get into it. This is just in my top 3, maybe 2, 3 favorite books of all time, and your main takeaway needs to be that you do not have to be interested in coding, websites, dark web, Bitcoin, like anything like that. You don't have to know anything about it. You don't have to be interested in it to enjoy this book. It's an insane story that I can't believe actually happened, and it is just amazing to me to think about what one person can build from absolutely nothing. It's so good. That was the ranking. Thank you so much for sticking with me this long. I feel like I'm yelling. It's getting late. I know that everyone in this hotel can hear me right now. But please don't forget to check out the link in my description box to visit the Ana Luisa website and check out their Valentine's buy one, get one 40% off sale. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.